Welcome to 20 Side Adventures. My name's Ryan. This is going to be a deep dive into Howl of the Wild. This is going to go through the entire book, so we're going to be talking about the new ancestries, the archetypes, the monsters, the items. It's going to be a lot. There's going to be channels in the description below, so you can jump around to the things that interest you. And yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on some other stuff. If you like the long form content and the deep dives and the character builds I'm doing, I would love a like and a subscribe down below. And then, real quick, if you're looking for some great beard products that have a gamer bent to them, check out beardsorcery.com. Promo code 20 Side Adventures, link in the description. All right, let's just jump right into this. All right, here we are, Howl of the Wild. So we're just going to scroll right on through the PDF here. Lots of content. I really appreciate that Paizo keeps putting out so much content that's playable, not just fluff. And there's a lot of that for character creation in here. So this is kind of the backstory of what this book is about. It's this exploring the wilds and taking notes, very Darwin-esque. Here's the ship that they're on. I appreciate that this airship has a couple different biomes in it. I think that's pretty cool and a creative thing for you homebrewers to think about in your own settings on how these different biomes might look. And we're going to get right into it. So there are, first and foremost, a bunch of ancestries. These are all very nature-focused, very animal-focused. Get your furry on a little bit if that's what you're into. So we have the Athamaru, which are a fish-like humanoid. We have the awakened animal, so you can be any creature you want that has been awakened that has the animal trait. Centaurs, Merfolk, Minotaur, all very classic fantasy mythology creatures. And then the Surki, if you want to be subterranean bugs. Some special rules they highlight in here. They just refresh how large PCs move through area. Nothing new there. I think one of the big takeaways, though, is riding PCs. If you are riding a PC, you have to be 2 size categories smaller. So you can be an awakened chihuahua that is tiny inside someone's purse that is taking you into battle. And you each have 2 actions when you're doing this. You roll initiative and you take the lower of your initiative and you both act on whoever got the lowest initiative's turn. And that's pretty much it. I would probably homebrew this a little bit so centaurs could still be ridden just as it's written here because I think it's kind of lame. A medium creature wouldn't be able to ride a centaur, but such as it is. And then there's some ideas for aquatic PCs if you're not running an aquatic campaign, how you can work with that. And some flying PC rules, as well as a pretty amount of good GM fiat on how to make this work so it's fun at your table. I always appreciate Paizo is has this reputation of making this super crunchy, rule-intensive game, but then have things of like, yeah, whatever your GM thinks is good. Yeah, I just think there's a bit of a narrative out there that maybe isn't super accurate for what this game really is about. That being said, here we're going through all the different crew members, which are all new ancestries available in this campaign or in this this book here, and we are going to get started with the Athamaru. So these guys are going to be 8 hit point, medium, 20 feet land speed, 25 foot swim speed, strength, wisdom, and a free boost, and an intelligence flaw. They do get low light vision. And here we are at their heritage. So the Coral Athamaru basically gets free armor. You get +4 item bonus to AC, +1 to Dex, or a Dex cap of +1. Basic check penalty, movement speed, unless you have the strength for it. Basically, some pretty decent free armor. Just level 1, something you don't have to worry about because you got this coral integrated with you. The Hopeful Athamaru, which you become 1 size larger as you are on the path to becoming a matriarch in the Athamaru Society. And for that, you get a 10-foot aura that grants an ally +1 circumstance bonus to saving throw against fear. I don't know if I'm a big fan of that one. Kaleidoscopic Athamaru. So you have basically some shimmering scales. You get a +1 bonus to your performance check, and a reaction that if anyone's trying to seek you when you're hidden, you can dazzle them with their scales. They have to roll their flat check twice and take the lower of. So not bad if you wanted to be a sneaky fish. Lastly, the Quilled Athamaru, you are going to get a unarmed natural attack, 1d6 piercing. It's part of the brawling group, so there could be some fun swimming, wrestling fish people with that one, but for me, I feel the Coral Athamaru is the way to go here. So this is going to be a trend throughout all of these ancestries, as one of their feats is a lore associated with their heritage. You're going to get a trained proficiency rank and a skill that is synergizes well with what the ancestry is supposed to be, and then you get a lore feat. So that's never a bad take when you get 2 skills for heritage feat here. Athamaru weapon familiarity, so a lot of these are going to have that as well, where you get to use weapons specific to your heritage. Community minded, you're going to get a +1 circumstance bonus to perception DCs when someone's attempting to lie to you, and you're going to get a +1 to sense motives when you're trying to detect people lying. So if you want to create a very social focused character, that could be a good take. Coral symbiotes. So this one's going to give you a saving throw against poisons, because this coral that you wear as jewelry and as part of your body helps you filter out some of these poisons. It also reduces the flat check to remove persistent poison damage. The Elver pet, you can have this little eel in a glass bottle that you carry around with you, and you get a pet. Emit defensive odor. So now this one I really enjoy. This one basically gives you a once per day single action pheromone blast that will do 2d6 poison damage with a basic fortitude save against your class DC, and then this levels up with you, so it will get stronger. Pretty decent one action. Once a day is kind of rough, but again, it is an ancestry feat, so those usually are not super strong. Ocean wariness. Let's see. This is kind of the opposite of the community-minded one. This one you're going to get a +1 bonus against deception, diplomacy, intimidate, and performance checks because you're so wary of outsiders from the ocean. Again, really good if you're going to be a social-focused character. Pheromonal messages. You can send messages via pheromones. 60 feet if you're on the surface, 120 feet if you're beneath the waves. 5th level coral growth. Let's see. This one, the difference between yourself and your coral symbiotes is nearly impossible to tell apart. When you're underwater, you no longer need to eat or drink because your coral is feeding off the ambient water around you. And while you're on land, your coral symbiotes provide you with sufficient hydration that you no longer have to submerge yourself every 24 hours, so you get to more easily be in a non-aquatic campaign. Growing eel friend, your eel gets stronger. Noxious odor, so this is going to boost your defensive odor, and this will also apply the sickened condition. If they critical fail, it becomes sickened too, so that's pretty rad. Riptide mount, you're able to ride aquatic animals. Skilled swimmer, let's see, you no longer treat any moving and swimming in water as difficult terrain, such as going up or down in depth. Level 9, coral detoxification. So again, that coral colony, it has integrated even more into your body, and now you get a +2 bonus against poisoning effects. Emissary assistance. So this one is you are an emissary to land dwellers, and you can now cast feet to fins and water breathing to help your non-aquatic party be part of an aquatic campaign. It's a little rough as it comes at level 9, but will be handy if you maybe later on are going to venture into the waves. This converts your eel to a mount that you can carry, that you can ride around in the waters with you. And then persistent odor, so now that odor attack, if you take this, is doing that damage that does scale with each level. It's adding the sickened condition and now some persistent damage. That is all pretty cool. Attuned electroceptors, basically you get a 20-foot range ability to detect living creatures. Coral reserve, your coral symbiotes provide a store of energy that you can call upon when needed. You get to ignore, basically, feebled or fatigued for 1 minute. They do come back at the end of that minute, but it might get you through a fight. Rapid pheromone recovery, you can now use the defensive odor once per hour instead of per day. I think I would probably be just going down that entire tree on this one, so you just have that extra attack. Swift eel mount, this one boosts your eel mount. Coral lifeline, so your coral symbiotes have become such a part of you that they can sacrifice themselves to heal you. If you are killed, dead, so dying 4, you get to heal 48 hit points, and the coral fades dull gray, and it can only be used once per day. Moray ambush, If you lay in wait and are hidden and someone passes within 20 feet of you, you may use this reaction, take a stride and a strike, and they are off guard for that attack. So that's pretty robust if you're a sneaky character. You're going to get to use your reaction and get to get 2 actions out of it, and they're off guard for presumably your sneak attack. Offensive odor. So this again is just magnifying the odor tree here. You can boost all of the damage to D8s instead of D6s, or you can make it a 15-foot cone and an AoE effect. All right, next up, the Awakened Animal. I'm sure this one will be pretty popular with a lot of folks. It has a lot of creativity allowed. Your hit points are based solely on the size of the animal of which awakened. So if you're tiny, it's 6 hit points. Sorry, Chihuahuas. If you're large, 10 hit points. Good job, you bears out there. Speed's determined by the heritage you choose. And attributes, Constitution, Wisdom, Free, and you do take a flaw in Intelligence. So now this is kind of an oddity. You can take a versatile heritage with Awakened Animal. And I'm not sure how that works, because can you be a half-elf? That just seems kind of weird to me. I do think there could be some cool stuff with like the Nephilim, so maybe you are an angelic or a primal being that has mixed in with an animal line. I think that could play out pretty well. The downside, you need your heritage to determine a lot of how this class works. So there are some must-take feats, I feel, if you do go the versatile route, but it does feel kind of weird to me. But the heritages are broken into basically what type of animal are you? Climbing, so something that kind of has opposable hands and can climb things. Flying, if you were an avian creature. Running, so this is pretty much anything quadruped related. And swimming, were you an aquatic or a water-dwelling animal that was awakened. Again, as mentioned, Awakened Animal lore, so pretty much all of these are going to have that. This one's going to give you Arcana or Nature as your skill, and then you get Lore Awakened Animal. Awakened Magic, you get to choose a cantrip from a primal spell list that you just know because it's so much part of your coming to Sapience. Fascinated by Society, you've been watching Humanoid Society so much, you've become really fascinated with it, so you become trained in it. Whenever you critically fail, let's see, actually. When you do a recall knowledge or decipher writing, you learn the correct information as you would on a success. This is when you fail. And erroneous information as you would on a critical failure. So fails give you the effects of a crit fail and the effects of a success, and you don't get to know which is which. I always find that is a lot of fun. Land legs, if you chose the aquatic heritage, you can now move on land a little easier. Learn by watching, you can become trained in crafting, medicine, or performance, and you get 2 plus your level to following the expert. Natural senses, so you can choose senses that your animal self had every time you take this and add them to your awakened sense. So if you had a wolf with scent, you could take this and get scent. Sea legs, if you have a swim speed, you can increase. Oh, you can now breathe underwater with it, so a little bit of an amphibious action. And take flight, if you were a flying animal before, this lets you get an actual flight. Tooth and Claw gives you an additional unarmed attack. If you had claws, you can now bite. If you could bite, you can now have claws, etc. You're so cute, so if you were an adorable animal, you can now do tricks and things to win favor. You are trained in performance, and you gain the impressive performance feat. And when you're performing for humanoids, you get a +1 bonus to boot. So this could be the bard of your dreams. Fierce Grab, this had to be the climbing animal. Your opponent takes a penalty when they attempt to escape, and you get a +1 circumstance to your AC against any attacks made against you while you have them grabbed. So you get a bonus for holding them because you're so good at it. Late Awakener. So this is the one if you took a versatile heritage that it lets you mechanically gain the things of having a normal animal, awakened animal heritage. Natural Ambassador. This allows you, basically, you remember speaking to animals when you were one, and this allows you to communicate with animals easier. Scurry, so if you're tiny, that Chihuahua I keep referencing, when you roll initiative, you can take a stride to gain cover. So that can be kind of neat, especially if you're sneaky. Strong of Wing, you keep leaning into getting better at flight. Urban Jungle, so you have to have the Fascinated by Society for this one, and this lets you treat the urban environment as your natural environment, so you can track at full speed and just move your way through the urban jungle. That can be really fun for like an investigator that's an awakened animal companion. Let's see, Wild Stride. Stride twice and gain a +5 circumstance bonus to the movement speed. Yep, just faster movement speed. Nothing too wild there. Animal Summoner, you can summon animals. Full Flight, again, leaning into that flight path to get faster fly speed. Awaken Others, if it is your goal to bring all of the animals into consciousness, like that strange Rick and Morty episode with the dogs, you could go down that path. Digger, gain a dig speed, or a burrow speed, sorry. Sharpen Senses, your senses have become so sharp that you notice changes subconsciously when you seek, and you're using one of your senses that you took from natural senses. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to that check. Awaken Stride. When you use Wild Stride, you can stride 3 times instead of 2. And you're also concealed during that movement, so that can be pretty good. Fearsome Form, basically you get to use Mask of Terror and you put on a fearsome visage of your former animalistic self. True Senses, you get True Sight. Pretty solid. All right, Centaurs. I'm actually the most excited for Centaurs, I think. 8 hit points, large, strength and wisdom, and then a free bonus. A flaw to charisma. I don't know about that. Horses are pretty darn charismatic, and horses with pretty people on the top of them, I don't see why they're taking a charisma flaw. Maybe people are just freaked out by centaurs. I don't buy it though. Let's see. Dark vision, and then a special mount rule. A PC can ride you even if they're one size category smaller than you. So there you go. My complaint earlier is null and void because centaurs can carry medium-sized creatures. And you can increase the bulk you can carry, so you can literally be the workhorse of your party. All right, Heritage, Budding Speaker Centaur. Become either a green speaker or a faith speaker by selecting divine or primal spells and gain a cantrip from there. So if you want to lean into being any of those speaker titles or very magical, good way to get a free cantrip. Fleet Wind, +5 foot bonus to movement speed. Iron Hoof, gain a 1d6 bludgeoning hoof attack. That could be really handy if you can take some of the Cavalier like trampling abilities maybe. Since you are a mount, that would be interesting to look into. Model Coat Centaur, so basically you get camouflage for your selected terrain based on your coat color, and a +1 circumstance bonus to stealth, hide, sneak, and deception checks to feint. Oh, that last one's pretty good. Ponygate Centaur, so you're smaller than most other centaurs, though no less fleet of foot. Instead of large, you are medium, so if you don't want to deal with moving through all those tight spaces, and you could still have halflings ride you. Stoutheart Centaur, 10 HP instead of 8, and a +1 bonus to acrobatics, and reflex DCs to avoid being tripped. It's kind of weird that you're supposed to be tougher, but then you're more nimble. I would have leaned into some fortitude stuff, I think, with that name. Let's see. Ancestry feats. Centaur lore. Same basic idea as before, except with this one you're getting medicine or nature. Centaur weapon familiarity. Again, same as before. Practice brawn. Your days are filled with physical labor. Gain a +1 bonus through athletics checks to force open or shove, and fortitude saving throws to resist becoming fatigued. When you roll a success on athletics checks to shove, get a critical success instead. So that could be pretty good if you're kind of building around that shove mechanic. There's some interesting things you can do with the Guardian on that. Skilled Herbalist, gain alchemical crafting feat. You have to add healing options to your book for it, and you can use nature to craft alchemical items with the healing trait rather than crafting. That can have some good synergies with some specific archetypes. I maybe wouldn't go full alchemist with that, but you could definitely get a few archetypes that play into that and really lean into the alchemical side of the centaur on that. Steel hooves, you shod your hooves with steel, get them up to 1d8. Accommodating mount. Okay, so this one, when you are being the mount, the person riding you gets 3 actions instead of the 2, but you are still subject to only 2 actions when you are ridden. Distant archer, you get to ignore the first range increment penalty of your attacks. I don't know how valuable that is unless you're using kind of a low range weapon. I never find too many people at maximum range distance on a longbow. Proud mentor, you enjoy mentoring others and take pride in your students' accomplishments. If you critically fail on an attempt to aid, you get a fail instead. And whenever you successfully aid, who critically succeeds on the check you aided them on, you feel a rush of pride, gaining a temporary hit point equal to your level. Interesting. If you do a lot of aid others, I suppose that could be a nice way to get a little bit boost to your hit points. Speaker in training, so this follows up with the previous speaker choice. And let's see, this one gives you bless or fleet step, depending on which choice you took as a divine or primal innate spell. Herbal forager, basically you get the alchemist ability to create something on your daily preparations that has to be healing based. Fierce competitor, you challenge a single ally to a physical competition. This must involve accomplishing a specific goal, such as acrobatics or athletic skill checks to climb a wall, trip a specific foe, or a long jump. You and the selected ally get a +2 circumstance bonus to the associated skill check for 1 minute, or until one of you wins the challenge, whichever is first. If you win this competition, you gain a +2 status bonus to intimidation checks for 1 hour. That is a really roundabout way to get a +2 bonus to intimidate checks for 1 hour. Mentor of Legends, you're an extraordinary teacher. Once per day, you can cast Heroism as an innate divine spell. In addition to its normal effects, it grants temporary hit points equal to half your level. You can't cast this on yourself. Ride on, even when tired, you refuse to give up, pushing yourself to extreme feats of endurance. You delay the effects of fatigue for an additional 3 rounds as a reaction. Speaker's defense. So this is just continuing that speaker path. If you are a faith speaker, you gain the ability to cast Share Life and Status. If you're a green speaker, you gain Entangling Flora and Environmental Endurance. So if you just keep going down this path, you can get a fairly decent amount of casting without being a casting class. Or you can just really lean into being a caster and really expand your casting. You know, you could maybe go Druid, but go the Faith Speaker so you get to sprinkle in those divine spells. Stubborn Defiance, you're brave and stubborn and refuse to back down or bow to the wishes of another. Gain a +1 bonus against mental effects. Gain the I defy you reaction. If you fail a save against a mental effect, you can re-roll the triggering save, but you have to take the second result. Once a day free save that you botched isn't a bad idea. Camouflage coat, so you have to have picked the model coat from before. Blend into your surroundings, careful movements and additional markings are your attire. If you are in your selected terrain, you can hide or sneak without cover or being concealed. So sneaky centaurs. Incredible sprint, stride 3 times for the cost of 2 actions. Miraculous medic. Once per day, you can cast Breath of Life as an innate primal spell. That's unfortunate. It's not actually medic stuff. Trample. Stride double your speed, and everyone you move through must take a reflex save or get trampled. So that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, you can't do it while anyone's riding you because it takes 3 actions. I was thinking maybe you could do some fun cavalier stuff with that, but will not work. Merge with the source. So this is still continuing that speaker heritage, and you gain angel form, demon form, devil form, whatever seems to fit what you're attempting to accomplish and in your roleplay journey as a speaker. For the green speaker, you can get elemental form or plant form. And yeah, just again leaning into that. Starshot arrow. You draw an arrow, whisper a short invocation over it, and then strike with a ranged weapon. The arrow becomes a bolt of starlight, changing its damage to your choice of force or spirit, and granting the effect of the Ghost Touch rune. So that's pretty robust. When the arrow strikes its target, it unravels into a constellation of starlight that wraps around the target's limbs, imposing a 10-foot circumstance penalty to its speed for 2d4 rounds, or immobilizing it if it was a critical hit. Single action, that's pretty robust. I would probably just keep using that all day long because there's nothing that would prevent you. That's good action. All right, next up, Merfolk. So you can live out your mermaid summer dreams. These have 8 hit points, 5-foot land speed, so that's real rough if you're not in an aquatic campaign, 25-foot swim speed, attribute boost to dexterity and charisma and are free, flaw to constitution. Let's see, aquatic grace. When you roll a success on a saving throw against a water effect, you get a critical success instead. You get low light vision, and you have to return to your aquatic environment at least once in a 24-hour period. Otherwise, you start suffering some fortitude penalties. All right, next up, pelagic merfolk. Let's see. Water obeys your will with a quick word. You can draw and sheath it around you and shielding with the shielding wave action. So single action, raise a magical barrier of twisting currents until the start of your next turn. The first time you take acid or fire damage, gain resistance to that damage equal to half your level. If you cast a spell with the water trait or use another ability with the water trait this turn, it can be equal to your full level. Okay. If you know you're fighting something that's going to use a lot of fire and acid, but kind of niche, reef merfolk, you're used to getting poisoned by all the weird stinging things in the reef. Resistance half your level. And each of your successful saving throws have the poison affliction reduces its stage by 2 instead of 1, or by 1 if it's virulent. And each critical success does 3 and 2, so you're just way better at avoiding poisons. Man, I'm struggling, guys. This long video and my speech must have been a long day. Sailfish merfolk. Your body resembles a powerful sailfish. Get to bump that swim speed up to 30 feet, and you can jump or high jump with a +1 bonus to your athletics checks. All right. Ancestries, merfolk lore, weapon familiarity, all that's the same. Ocean's Bite. Your jaws open wider than a normal humanoid, and you get a jaw attack. Scary shark mermaids. Sea Song. Your sound carries far beneath the waves, and your people have a strong, enchanting voice. You become trained in performance. And you instead become, let's see, and then you gain the virtuosic performer skill feat. So that's pretty good if you want to go the singing mermaid route. Swimmer's Guidance. Any ally who starts their turn within 30 feet of you gets a 10-foot swim speed. Any ally affected by this rolls a critical fail on their athletics to swim. They instead get a fail. So that can be handy if you have a non-aquatic party around you. Wave speakers. Being part fish, you can speak the language of the sea. You can ask questions or receive answers from and use the diplomacy skill with animals that have the amphibious or aquatic traits or a swim speed. Well, there you go. Talk to fish. Apprentice Witch. You are familiar with the basic spells that most educated merfolk know. Once per day, you can cast Create Water and Hydraulic Push as primal innate spells at first level. Fish Blooded. Nothing beneath the waves can slow you down. You get to ignore all difficult terrain from swimming. Healing Flesh. Okay. This one's weird, and I feel like Paizo's trolling someone. So, some legends claim that the flesh of merfolk, if consumed, can grant health, longevity, and even immortality. For obvious reasons, merfolk prefer to discourage these rumors, with violence if necessary. But you're living proof that there is at least a fraction of truth in such claims. When administering first aid, treating disease, or treating wounds, you can take 1 damage to give someone a drop of your blood, and when you do so, you don't need healer's tools, and you gain a +1 item bonus to medicine checks. Okay, that's some neat fluff. Until the last paragraph. If someone were to eat your heart and liver within an hour of your death, they would be healed of all physical injuries, regaining hit points up to their maximum, and would cease to age for 8 years. So you're dying 3. Your party comes over and they could heal you, or the rogue, because you know it would be the rogue, or maybe the bard, says something to, hey guys, hear me out. If the mermaid doesn't make it, we can just heal up and, get 8 years of youth and longevity? Like, who's going to do that? And who's going to know that's a thing except your own party member? Feels like a giant troll to have your party eat you. Anyways, If anyone plays a Merfolk and has a fun situation with that, please let me know. I would love to hear that story. Strong tail, so out of sheer grit and necessity, you figured out how to hop around on land better. You can bump that speed to 15 feet and still make dwarves seem like they're super fast. Let's see. Ill-Tide, once per day, a creature within 30 feet of you critically fails an attack roll, skill check, or saving throw. You get to use this reaction, and the next time that creature attempts an attack roll, a skill check, or a saving throw, it must roll twice and use the worst result. So you just get to punish that terrible critical and make it happen more. Shore Gift. Basically, this is so you can finally be terrestrial based. You get to step out of your fins and put on a pair of pants that has legs, basically. You get 25-foot movement speed, and basically you can then pass as not being a merfolk. Might be handy if someone wants to eat your heart for 8 years of youth. Level 9, though, so this could be a little late into a campaign when you can finally start walking around with people. Siren Song, once per day, 60-foot emanation, and will saves against your performance DC. If you sustain it on subsequent rounds, each creature in the area currently affected by your song will attempt another will save. Typically, creatures that have traveled with you are for a significant time, such as your fellow party members, are immune to your Siren Song. So just don't use it on opening night if you're starting at level 9 for some reason. Critical success, they're unaffected and they're immune to it. Success, the target is fascinated until the end of your next turn. On a failure, they are stupefied 1 along with that fascination, and as long as it is fascinated, so it does go away as soon as they lose it. And then stupefied 2 on a critical failure. Tears of Pearl, you weep, and your tears become gleaming pearls as they fall to the ground. So beautiful, others can't help but grab at them. All creatures adjacent to you must attempt a will saving throw against your higher DC class or spell, and the pearl dissolves at the start of your next turn, turning into salt water. Critical success, they're unaffected. Success, the target is slowed 1 as it covets the pearl and reaches for it. Failure, they're slowed 1, and if it doesn't have a free hand to grab the pearl, it has to drop something to do so. So it's a disarm and a slowed. And then crit failure, same as above, but slowed 2. So that one can be pretty solid. Once per day, though, so not super powerful. Pummeling Whirlpool, you draw water from your environs, swirling it into a rough torrent around you to punish your foes. 10-foot emanation, 15 if you're actually in water, 8d6 bludgeoning damage, and a basic reflex save. If they fail to save, they're knocked prone. Once per day, so it could be pretty solid. Sea Witch, you gain the Aqueous Orb and control water. Those seem kind of weak sauce to me. I don't know if I would take those. 17, Doom of Sailor. Sailors know that the sight of angry merfolk might well mean they never see the shore again. This is another once per day, 60-foot. Anyone you can see within 60 feet. The fear grips their soul and causes 10d10 mental damage. Will save against your highest DC type. If they're in the water, they take a -4 to their throw. In addition to reducing damage, frightened 1 on a success, frightened 1 on a failure, and let's see, it rolls twice for all skill checks and saving throws while it is under the effects of this fear. So they have to re-roll pretty much everything and take the worst. And then critical failure, double the damage, and frightened 2 along with that round of misfortune. Kraken's Call. So this one's kind of wild. You basically are going to open a portal that Krakens will reach you with their tentacles and assault your foes. 30-foot burst within 120 feet, 8d6 damage, fortitude saves, and you can sustain it for up to 1 minute. And then the tentacles also grab while they're at it. So that's pretty solid. Let's see. For their save, success unaffected, failure takes full damage and is grabbed. Takes 3d6 bludgeoning damage from being grabbed. And then critical failures double the damage. Alright, next up, the Minotaur. Minotaur's 10 hit points, large, 25-foot movement speed, strength, constitution, and then a free boost, attribute flaw, charisma. That all seems to check out. They have dark vision, and they come with horns that deal 1d8 piercing damage, part of the brawling group. All right, Heritage, Ghost Bull Minotaur. Your fur is pale as death, possibly from some connection you or your family had to the afterlife. You can cast Know the Way as an occult innate spell at will. Let's see. Yep, that's it. So you get that one. Glacier Cavern Minotaur. You're suited for frozen in mountains. You gain cold resistance equal to half your level, and environmental cold is one step less severe. Little Horn Minotaur. This is if you want to be medium instead of large, and your horns are reduced to 1d6. But they now are agile. Roaming Minotaur, trained in survival and terrain expertise skill feat for free, and you could ignore difficult terrain caused by natural uneven ground. Slab Soul Minotaur, deep connection to stone and the walls to conjure massive slabs of granite that collapse on your foes. You get the raise slab action, 2 action, once per day. You bring up big slabs of stone, and you deal 1d6 bludgeoning damage to all adjacent creatures. They get a reflex save, and it increases at every 2 levels after 3rd. By 1d6, Stalker Minotaur. Despite your heavy frame, walk on shaggy hooves that muffle your footfalls, allowing you to surprise your prey. You become trained in stealth and gain the Terrain Stalker skill feat. Except you must choose rubble. You can sneak no more than 10 feet instead of 5 feet without attempting a stealth check. All right. Artisanal crafter, so you get some specialty crafting here, blacksmithing, leatherworking, or stonemasonry, and you become trained in crafting. Cattle speech, so you can talk to cows. Eye for masonry, this feels like an old dwarf holdover from Pathfinder 1, but you get a +2 bonus to perception checks for unusual stonework. And when you're using athletics to force open a stone door or thievery to disable device of something that is stone-based, you get a +1 circumstance bonus. Friendly nudge, you basically just get to shove your allies. I don't know why I would necessarily use that, because you'd move up, take an action to shove them, and yeah, if they're amicable, they get +1 degree of success on that. So I guess it can help you move the battlefield around a little bit, but I'm just not really feeling it. Keen nose, you gain the scent, imprecise sense of scent for 30 feet, +1 circumstance bonus to fortitude saves against bad smells. Minotaur lore, so just like the other ones, Minotaur weapon familiarity. Although Minotaur lore gives you society or stealth, they're really leaning into sneaky cows. Pantheon magic, touch of divine meddling still runs through you whether you want it to or not. Choose 1 cantrip from the divine spell list, and you can cast that as an innate spell at will. Alarming disappearance. Here's that sneaky cow stuff. Your ability to move unseen is startling for 1 your size, causing panic among your enemies. When you successfully hide, when previously observed, creatures you are hidden from become frightened 1. Beast of Burden, increase how much you can carry. Labyrinth of Echoes, you can make your voice reverberate off of any surface. Once per day, you can cast Ventriloquism. Natural Orienteering, so you're really good at mazes. When you roll a success on a survival check, to sense direction or track, you get a critical success instead. Puzzle Solver. So I thought this one was kind of cool. When you attempt to recall knowledge of a subject or a creature, you get a +1 bonus to the next skill check regarding that creature or subject, even if you didn't succeed. This bonus increases to +2 if you're master. So basically, once per hour, you roll a recall knowledge. Even if you fail, you're going to get a bonus to the next thing regarding this subject. Stretching reach. This gives you just a little bit more reach with 2-handed weapons. Friendly fling. So you can toss a dwarf. You pick them up with your horns and you huck them 20 feet. They land on their feet. They take 1d6 damage from getting hit with your horns, and they get to make a strike at the end of that. So, could be a pretty useful use of 2 actions. Goring charge, so stride twice, make a horn attack. Pretty decent. Siphon torment. Your progenitors suffered greatly at the hands of a curse, a fate you willingly take upon yourself rather than let fall upon others. Once per day, you can cast Claim Curse as an innate divine spell. Stone Passage, you need that Slab Soul Minotaur. Calling on your knowledge of stonework and inherent magic, you momentarily make a section of stone insubstantial, allowing you to pass through. This is how Minotaurs get around those mazes, man. Let's see, you end your movement inside of a square that you normally would not be able to pass through, you are thrown back. So you have to be able to clear the stone when you do it. Phantom Charm, free action, once per day. You harness the spiritual connection in your blood, allowing you to shift negative threads of fate. You negate the misfortune effect and gain a +2 circumstance bonus to the triggering attack. So if you are misfortuned, free action, get to ignore it. Shift the little ones. So you have to take friendly nudge. So it might be you take that to get to this one. So your large size, you need to carefully move around your smaller friends. You have learned to move in such a way that it gives them the chance to make room for you. Stride up to your speed. If you end your movement in position where one or more of your spaces are occupying an ally, each of those allies can immediately step as a free action. With large creatures, that's super cool. They get to step for free, so you're giving free movement to adjust the battlefield. That makes the friendly nudge worth it. Threatening Pursuit. Expert in Intimidation or Stealth. You emit a terrifying growl. Let's see. Demoralize all enemies within 30 feet. You do not take a penalty if they don't know your language because you're just a scary Minotaur. And a +2 circumstance bonus to this check. And the range is increased to 60 feet if you're in your maze or similarly difficult to navigate location. Begin Stampede, 3 actions, so you get to stride twice and make a strike. Each ally within 60 feet who saw you and you hit can now use a reaction to stride twice, and they have to become closer to you at the end of that. And they get a +1 to their next strike on their next turn. Into the Labyrinth, calling on your connection to mythos and lore of the Minotaurs. Once per day, you can cast Quandary as an 8th rank occult innate spell. It takes the form of a labyrinth instead of a puzzle room. So you can chuck people into your Minotaur labyrinth. All right, the Surki. Bug guys, like I said. HP 8, speed 25, constitution and a free, no negatives. They have dark vision and megaphage. Various nodes throughout your body draw in latent magic from the world around you. You don't need to eat or drink unless you're in an especially magical poor environment. Choose what tradition of magic you most consumed as a larva. This type of magic can become so ingrained in your body that it changes the tradition of all Surki spells and magical actions to that tradition. That's really neat. All right, heritages. Breaker Surki. Your claws are especially hard and can break through earth and predators alike. Gain a claw unarmed attack, 1d4 slashing. Evolution, your wrist nodes project magic into durable digging wedges, and you can spend an interact action to increase your claw unarmed attack to d6s. Let's see. Grant the magical, raising, and versatile force traits. Remove agile. Spend an action to deactivate them. You can also evolution. Let's see. Maybe I need to read what these evolutions are. They haven't come up yet. Okay. Well, we'll see if something comes up about it or if it's just fluff. Your ankle nodes can emit grounding claw spikes to hold you in place. Effect of the world force you to move 10 feet or more. You can choose to move only half that distance. And then you get trench digging trigger. You are subject to or forced movement. You deploy your claw spikes to churn the earth asunder, creating difficult terrain in each square of ground you are moved through. Okay. Elytron Surki. Top layer of your carapace is especially mobile, and you can unfurl it to catch air gracefully as you fall. So your shoulder nodes have evolved into a pair of spines that can energize to project a pair of glowing wings. You can cast Flies, an innate spell, once per day. And your wings give a 20-foot light radius. Your shoulder nodes have evolved into a fan of thin membranes that resonate when magic is coursed through them. Gain the stridulating song action. Once per day, you circulate magic through your wings, causing them to vibrate at high speeds, such that their scraping produces disruptive sounds. You focus the sound on one creature within 30 feet who must succeed a fortitude save or become sickened 2 on a critical failure. You can sustain the effect for up to 1 minute. All right. Hard shell. This is giving you armor basically for free. Medium armor, +4, +1 to dex, so similar to the coral. Pretty much exactly the same as the coral. You can never wear armor or remove your carapace. The evolutions, your magical circulatory system that runs between your nodes has become a reinforcing network that strengthens your carapace with magical energy. If you are struck by a critical hit that deals physical damage, you can use your reaction to attempt a 17 flat check, and it becomes a normal hit. So free fortitude with your heritage pick. That's not bad. Your abdominal nodes protect a field that guards you against the type of magic you are most familiar with. Gain the dampening harmonics action. 2 actions. Force field that grants resistance 10 to damage dealt by spells and magical abilities with the trait of your Magiphage ability. So all arcane, all primal, whatever it may be. It's 10 minutes. And every time it prevents damage, it ticks down by 1. That's a cool mechanic. So your resistance reduces its time every time you take damage. I like that. Lantern Surki. Nodes of your abdomen are particularly luminous. You can interact action. You can shed light in a 20-foot radius. And you can change the color of the light. Evolution, your abdominal nodes have evolved into a pair of secondary limbs that project a magical focusing lens. You gain the lantern beam. So you're a light bug that you can burn things with a magnifying glass. Kind of the reverse burning of an ant. Very weird. Let's see. Your lenses focus your light into a searing beam, deal 5d4 fire damage in a 30-foot line. Basic will save or basic reflex saves against your class or spell DC. Doesn't actually say it's reflex, but I assume it's reflex. Your lantern light uses lantern. Your lantern light then extinguishes, and you can't use this ability or use the lantern light for 1d4 rounds. At 11th level, every 2 levels thereafter, increase the damage by 1d4. So yeah, it will pace out pretty quick, but not bad. Secondary light emitters grow from your shoulder nodes that flash in time with your lantern. Gain the lantern strobe effect, so you can throw raves. Once per hour, as you pulse your lantern, your emitters flash erratically, disorienting your opponents that see it. Each opponent in a 15-foot cone must attempt a fortitude saving throw. On a failure, they are dazzled. On a critical failure, they are blinded and dazzled. All right. Sequestered spell. You consume so much of a type of magic as a larva that you can now cast it purely on instinct. Choose one cantrip. And from your Magiphage ability, you can cast that at will. Small speak, you understand the language of insects. Talk to insects. Surki lore. Surki weapon familiarity. Well, I guess we should look what the lore gives you. Survival and the skill associated with your magic tradition. Chemtrails. You can leave chemtrails. You leave a fake chemical trail as you move, and you can use chemical trails of other Surkis to navigate. Gain a +1 bonus to all checks and saves to sense direction or reorienting yourself. Secondary adaptation. You continue to adapt to the rigors of your environment by continuing your metamorphosis even as an adult. Choose one Surki heritage that you don't already have and gain that heritage and its benefits so you can start to stack the ones up above. That's pretty cool. Tunnel roll. You can easily navigate underground tunnels by rolling into a ball. You're a roly-poly. Let's see. Otherwise, you automatically keep rolling. Let's see. You are slowed 2 each turn after the first that you keep rolling. If you hit an obstacle on a turn after the first, you and the obstacle both take 4d6 bludgeoning damage. So kind of weird. If it's an incline, it'll be good for you. If you get to flat, you start to slow down. Maybe you can roll into someone else, but then you take the same damage. For 2 actions, I'm not feeling that one. Consume magic once per hour. Attempt a saving throw against an area effect from the tradition matching your Magicophage ability. You consume the magic of an incoming spell and protect your allies, though you might give yourself indigestion. Attempt a counter-react check. Against the triggering effect, your counter-react rank equals half your level, and use either your class DC minus 10 or your spellcasting attribute modifier. If your counteract triggering effect and you end the effect for all other creatures in the area, but you become sickened 1. So, pretty cool. You can shut down some big AoE damage to your party at the cost of sickened 1. Grand Metamorphosis. One of your nodes has adapted into a new magical emitting organ. You gain 1 of the evolutions from your Surki heritage. If you have multiple heritages, choose 1 to evolve. So there it is. You don't get all of your evolutions right out the gate. You have to take some feats to unlock the second ones. Okay. You can take this multiple times, yada yada yada. Nodal healing. You can induce wound repair by circulating magic throughout your body. If you rest for 10 minutes, regain hit points equal to your con times half your level. It's pretty handy for when your party's taking that short rest. Generation Digger. You are so adept at burrowing through the earth that you don't even need tools. Burrow speed 15. Magitaxis. You move reflexively toward the source of magic that you most consumed as a larva. You stride and must end your movement adjacent to the triggering creature, and you can't use Magitaxi against triggering creature for 24 hours. As your reflexes reacclimate through, you can use it against other creatures. You can use it while burrowing and doing all these other things. So yeah, you just get a reaction to move towards a spell that was cast. Yeah, I don't know about for level 13. I didn't miss anything. Yeah, it's just a free stride with a reaction. For that level, I'm not really feeling it. Oh man, unlimited pluripotency. Within all Surki is the capacity to be whatever they need to be, and you can tap into that capacity even now. When you sleep, you can choose to enter a pupa state. You sleep so deeply in your pupa that you can't be woken by loud noises around you, and you lose the benefits of one of your Surki heritages overnight. When you emerge and make your daily preparation, you can select a different heritage to replace it. If you had one of your more evolutions of that heritage, you can choose different evolutions within your new heritage. That's pretty cool, so you can constantly be changing up your heritage as needed. Nodal regeneration, so you have to have the healing one mentioned earlier. You get to cast Regenerate once per day as an innate spell. Instead of being deactivated by acid or fire, your regeneration from the spell is deactivated by cold, which slows your metabolism. You can only use it on yourself. Pretty cool. Hey guys, so I intended to do the entire book in one video. We're at about an hour on just the Ancestries, so after I started editing and doing this, I've decided to split these up into multiple videos. So this one will be on Ancestry. Keep an eye out for the next few coming around. That'll cover the rest of the book. If you like what we're doing here, like and subscribe, and wish you the best on your 20-sided ventures.